Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giri Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Balaba Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Munatira Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. 23. Today we are celebrating full moon, always good for the mind and good for the vegetables. So Guru Purnima, also called Vyas Purnima, and this is a very, very popular, very well. As a matter of fact, people take advantage of Guru Purnima to worship any gurus, any teachers, even school teachers, even the grandfather who used to read the Mahabharata to you when you were a kid is also being worshipped on that day. Anyone who is giving transcendental knowledge is worshipped today, the Guru Parampara. Therefore, for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Guru Purnima means to worship all the Vaishnava-acharyas in the disciplic succession. That goes all the way to Srila Vyasadeva, because he is worshipped as the compiler of the Vedas, and because causeless mercy not only compiled the Vedas, which he knew nobody could read and nobody could understand, because it is so complex and so voluminous. So he brought the essence of the Vedas into the Puranas. In other words, it's much, right? Or with a spoon of honey, so they can swallow the medicine. So similarly, transcendental knowledge, which basically comes down to surrender to Krishna, is given in story forms. Mahabharata, Ramayana, the 18 Puranas, and the people Yogasadev, for us residents of this dark age. So today we honor Srila Vyasadeva for giving us this amazing knowledge, which we will all material attachment and material misconception, and not just leave you there bleeding and tortured, but soothes the heart with transcendental knowledge, Divya Gyan. So this is the gift of Srila Vyasadeva, and it happens to be at the same time. In that same line, we honor Srila Prabhupada, because without Srila Prabhupada, we would not know who is Srila Vyasadeva. Without Srila Prabhupada, we wouldn't know about Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita or the Puranas or anything for that matter. So we have to feel very deep gratitude to our Founder-Acharya and all the members of the disciplic succession. Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Vairagyam Jnanam Yat Brahmadarshanam Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Jitaha Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Jnanam Yad Brahmadarshanam Vasudeve Bhagavati Jnanam Yad Brahmadarshanam Krishna.
Unto Krishna.
Bhagavati.
Bhagavati.
The personality of Godhead. Discharge.
Discharge.
Janayati.
Janayati.
Produces. Jnanam.
Jnanam.
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yat.
Yat.
Which.
Which.
Brahmadarshanam.
Brahmadarshanam.
Self-realization. Don't forget, Guru Purnima today. Engagement to advance in knowledge and detachment, as well as in self-realization. Unto Krishna.
Unto Krishna.
Make it possible to advance in knowledge. It is said by less intelligent men that bhakti and renunciation, he does not have to attempt separately to practice unflinchingly in the devotional service of the Lord, actually as all good quality, but actually it happens. So don't worry if you don't see any signs, in killing animals. But after becoming a devotee, he was not prepared. Who are we talking about here? How did he get to that stage? Huh? Else in pure devotional service without wasting time in mental speculations. Brahma Darshanam means to realize or to understand, can actually realize that what Brahman is. If Brahman is impersonal, Darshanam refers to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Unless the seer and the seen personality of Godhead, he cannot once realize what impersonal Brahman. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. Brahma bhuyaya kalpi. Jnana timirandasya jananjana shalakaya chakchurun militam dharatishvara. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Rama Hare Rama. In my hometown, Melbourne, Mahaprabhu Mandir. It's always good to come during the week, right?
Early cheers.
Early cheers. So, this verse come about Dave has with his mother Devahuti, and he has taken her through all the different layers of Shankya philosophy. Now, if you look up, you'll find that there Prabhupada mentions the same person. Kapila Muni, definitely great yogi, great sage, great learned scholar, stirs towards impersonalism. As a matter of fact, he's mentioned that the son of different sages, the son of different munis, and then there's this none different than Vishnu. He's a Vishnu avatar. He's none different than Krishna, who explained this philosophy of Shankya. Kapila Muni is none different than Lord Buddha. There's Kapila. And the previous chapters, it's quite challenging because there are no other. This is really generalized conception that you travel from one body to another. But the Bhagavatam goes in that chapter into every detail of what happened from the moment that the soul enters within the womb of the mother and develops until Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Beijing working on his novel. Different stories that take place in Beijing, and one of the treatment. So he cultivates the doctor. He actually wants him to become a devotee. So every time he goes for treatment, he tells him stories from the Bhagavatam. And the doctor gradually becomes vegetarian, becomes a... So he treats them and treats their wives. So there's one instance in the novel. Actually, the book is now available in English. Treatment. In those clinics in China, there's just a curtain separating from the patients waiting to the early stages. And she's actually there to consult with the doctor to get an abortion. So what's going to be the topic today with the doctor? He's going to talk about the movement of the living entity within the womb. She's hearing, and she's becoming, as the description moves forward, she becomes more and more horrified. Wow, there's another person there, and we have the duty. Of course, it's a big issue. They're treating this subject with so much importance because it's part of dealing with the material energy, and that's what Shankya philosophy is about, is to be in full knowledge of all the different material everything that we find in the universe, it's also here. We are a universe. As a matter of fact, the five senses are only for one purpose in this world. There's nothing really uplifting about having a material body. Now, in this chapter, You can go into any different species of life, and then he explains the position of the demigod at the beginning of this chapter, because they're actually not very secure as individuals. You see that in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam, when they have no strength anymore, which means both demons and demigods are on the same level of strength, of technical advancement, of intelligence. So what's the difference? They know how to appeal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they have responsibilities in this universe, they're supposed to maintain everything. So if they fall, there's much, much higher than that. So then he begins to explain the science of devotional service, which is the conclusion. What's the purpose of life? And this is what's being discussed at the very beginning of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Now you may have been familiar with this verse. This is in the 1st canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Very interesting. In the 1st canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, ahetukam means causeless. Right? Ahetuki apratiyata. No motive. Detachment and knowledge. In the verse in the 1st canto, brings causeless mercy. In the other one, it says brings self-realization, which is the same. Right? That's the mercy of the Supreme Lord. It's actually the mercy of Sarup Shakti, of the Supreme Lord. Where? Huh? In India? No, not in India. He was sitting at the Radha Damodar temple translating the 1st canto of the Bhagavatam. So this is maybe in the 60s, maybe early 70s. Does teachings of Lord Chaitanya, does Sri Sopanishad, does Upadeshamrita, does the Bhagavatam up to the 3rd or 4th canto, stops. 17 volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That was the aim. The day of the installation, Prabhupada would get the full set. It arrived a day later. Prabhupada said, you blew it. And devotees were he said, no, I'm joking. Beautiful. Prabhupada was 77 in 2 years. Prabhupada translated all the way to the 10th canto, chapter 14. Srila Prabhupada. First sentence. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to be something like material emotional affairs of transcendental realization are recommended. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to be something material. Then Prabhupada says, it is said by less intelligent spiritual, if they think that they have realized knowledge, not just knowledge, but they think they have realized knowledge, they take the freedom to judge. No one can be in that position. So Prabhupada called the less intelligent men, these people there who think they can have an opinion. That's why people have opinions, because everything is relative, right? You like gulab jamuns, I don't like gulab jamuns. But there's no room for this. That's why we call knowledge the absolute truth. We call Krishna the ras, only tasting. We receive transcendental knowledge, we appreciate, we absorb it, we practice. Even sometimes you see the writing of the Acharyas talking about the same topic. Sometimes you think, hey, they're not. So you can go through the whole commentary and then you'll see at the end, they said the same thing, Krishna's. And you think you can have an opinion on the words of Srila Vyasadeva or the words of Sri Krishna, you're considered less intelligent. Works on and you draw your own conclusions. And there are many people who actually claim themselves to be big, and he's got a big white beard, right? I keep listening to his conversation with different people. He says makes perfect sense. And then when you pay attention, he just keeps. I mean, it's just so irritating. And there's so many think they are qualified. And when I started listening to this person, it took me straight back to the 12th canto of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that says, what's the qualification in culture? Why are people attracted to hear from people who have fine speech and who have opinions about everything? The truth, but it's too painful to hear it. And then once they get the truth, they don't know what to do with it. Because they know less intelligent. So, Prabhupada explained, the verses are explaining, by practicing devotional service. No need to do experimentation. Like so many people, this is another aspect of people, really business. I've got friends, I've got reputation. I know exactly what needs to be done, but I can't do it. So they do experimentation. This is a classic scenario and a classic patterns for all the people. Wow, I've been waiting for this all my life. Finally I found it. Thank you so much. The weekend later, they're in another seminar down that path. They won't do that. They keep going, as we say in English. But actually you have no intention to find. So you keep going around and that becomes your life. They pay a lot of money. And the higher it is, the more they feel satisfied. Bhakti Yoga. Janai Atyashu. Ashu, it's interesting. Ashu in class. Ashu means very soon. I remember we talked about this word one time here in Melbourne. What is when you begin to practice devotional, even chanting around, anything we do, even if it's naturally motivated, even if we're doing begrudgingly, even if we're doing and it's painful service, time doesn't count anymore. Time flies when you're having fun, isn't it? And devotional service is fun. That makes that point again and again. Unless you practice devotional service, very, very, very little realization comes. There has to be mind, body, words. There has to be Prabhupada saying. Like one devotee in China says, but it looks like all the purports, Prabhupada says the same thing. Of course he says the same thing. Prabhupada's purport talks about controlling the mind. Oh, again, controlling the mind. This Brahma Darshanam, this is not seeing the self. Prabhupada Jai Radha Balava. But it's unconscious. Prabhupada, sometimes we look at the deities and the tears would come from his eyes. You actually speak with Krishna and Krishna speaks back to you. Like the young Brahmana who was accompanying the old Brahmana on Parikram in Vrindavan. Companion for so long now. I want to reward you. What was his gift? He gave his daughter away. No, you can't do this. I'm a low Brahmana, you're a high Brahmana. No. Your family will never. He says in front of Gopal, I will give my daughter to this young Brahmana. Now he goes home and he's thinking, Baba, what am I going to do? I have to give my daughter, and they think he's crazy. So you can take my daughter. He's a liar. Okay, no problem. Goes back to Vrindavan. Has a conversation with Gopal. We've never heard of a deity walk. He said, I've never heard of a deity talk. Prabhupada says, all the way to Vidyanagar, and then all the way to, what's that place called? Calcutta overnight to Puri. The first station in the morning is Sakshi Gopal. And the temple is there. How can stone move? Imagine, it doesn't work that way. Brahma Darshanam. Anything can happen. But this is different dimension. This is spiritual, transcendental dimension that only takes place on the pure platform of devotional service. Is to the West. If you don't see Krishna face to face and you don't speak with Krishna face to face, how can you do these things? It's not possible. So now coming to the point of Sadhu Sangha. Then we have Maya Shakti, the illusory energy of Krishna. And then there is Swarup Shakti, the internal, spiritual potency of Krishna. Now, the jivas, except for by the material energy, this Sachitananda is sleeping, like we used to do the bird in the cage on Sunday feast. I will always. So the Sachitananda, even though it has the potential to blossom, it's sleeping. So, if it's sleeping, Maya Shakti takes over. Asit Nirananda. It's temporary, it's miserable, and it's ignorant. That's her condition. So if you are in this universe as a jiva, Tatastha Shakti, marginal means like line. Means we have a choice. We have a choice to decide voluntarily to be influenced. Like people talk about freedom, right? Freedom. Your freedom, you have no freedom. Freedom from what? You're not free from your mind, you're not free from your body, you're not free from adibhotik, adidevik, adiatmic. Nothing, no freedom, nothing. So you don't even members decide for you, your co-workers decide for you, the billboards decide for you, what comes on your phone on the screen, 24 other people's decisions. Whether you should have sambar or you should have pizza. Whose decision is this? Sorry. Yeah, Mayapur, they have very nice pizza. Amazing pizza. Bengalis, they've been trained by the Italians. Darwin theory, it's a concoction and people just accept it. Now there are more and more schools who are getting rid of this in the curriculum. No more Darwin theory. We've been buying this stuff for so long, we don't want it anymore. It's not true. So it's all brain. So the point here that I want to make is, if you're not going to make a decision, Maya Shakti will make the decision for you. Come here, my dear boy. This is the kind of birth you're going to take. This is the kind of parents you're going to have. This is how you're going to think. This will be your karma for the next, from one Brahmanda to another, non-stop. Until what? Guru Krishna Prasadapai Bhakti Lata Bij. This is for a living. So many people do things for a living. But they don't know why they're doing it, except, I got to pay the bills, I got to raise my family. And the philosophy of Narada Muni. It's not really, it doesn't really boil down, because is Mugrari the hunter a philosopher? He changed his heart by sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastrakar, lavamatra, sadhu sangha. Another moment, boom, gone. Sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Be influenced by pure Krishna consciousness, which is Swarup Shakti, Krishna's internal energy that's going to revive this Sachitananda, which is the condition of the association of the sadhus. It is revived. Even if the sadhus are not answering the phone. It doesn't matter. Young devotee, older devotee, senior devotee. It doesn't matter. Like, I remember one devotee, he joined in Taiwan, drinking, smoking, talking. And the devotee who had left Krishna consciousness, he was preaching to him. And he's a very, very, very good standing devotee now. And that devotee used to preach to him. He's back on the path. He's very well situated in Krishna consciousness. So even just to receive that, this is what we're facing in mainland China, is we meet so many people. I mean, we're talking thousands of people who come to our program and say, I don't know, this mantra is just something else. I've never heard anything like it before. It's hit my heart. I'll never be the same again. But what does that mean, I'll never be the same again? Like I said before, when you want to start chalking a path for them to follow, they'll say, sorry, I've got business, I've got assets, I've got family, I've got kids, I've got friends, I've got a job. I can't give these things up. And you know, you get all these people, they buy books, they take prasadam, they chant Hare Krishna. What do you do with them? This is what we're going to discuss when we go back to Beijing in 2 weeks. We're going to have meetings of devotees. They may go to another retreat. They may hear to someone who's going to, you know, tell them it's going to be $50,000 to not drink, not eat, and not breathe for 3 days. Because that's what they do. They go on those retreats, they do full fast. 50 grand. Oh, that was really nice. Oh, I'm feeling really good, you know. That was fantastic. Are you going to the next one next week? Yeah, what is like? We're going to fast again. They think it's great. But the seed has been planted. And so association of devotees is the presence of Krishna when we do service together, when we address the deities, we have kirtan in a temple room, Krishna is present there. That's why there is this revolution within the heart. Knowledge is so powerful. It doesn't have to come from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, chanting the holy name, living in the holidom. This morning, just before the curtain opened, I had this realization that this temple actually reminds me so much of the Radha temple in Vrindavan. This is very much, these deities look like Vrindavan deities, isn't it? Radha Balaram. They look like Vrindavan deities, very, very much. And it's a, it's like enclosure, it's a small temple room, and there's so much, and there are so many Hindu temples in Victoria, in New South Wales, in Queensland, in Western Australia, in South Australia. Temples are just popping up everywhere. But the Sadhu Sangha, these things are powerful. Sadhus, Srila Prabhupada, visiting devotees, sannyasis, people taking initiation. All these things is a manifestation of Krishna's responsibilities, also bills to pay. So many things to do, so many distractions, like this morning during Kirtan. We have the Kirtan and all the kids running up and down, and all the daddies running after their Brahmadarshanam. Right now, the child is a deity. Maybe like when they used to do life membership program in India, they sign up the life members. They say, yeah, when I'm old, so you're already old. So it has to be balanced. Now in our Bhagavad Gita group in China, we're doing the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And it's very everything. But if you can't do that, cultivate knowledge. If you can't do that, work for me. If you can't do, you can't get more accommodating than you put a verse there, they quote some part of the purport, and then they ask questions, and I reply. And these people are from all walks of life, and many of them do Kundalini yoga. Many of them are yoga teachers. And you have to, build up an image that they can actually perceive, because this is another thing that's like 300 people on the yoga mat together doing yoga asana for the yoga day. All over China, they must have had, I think, 5 million people on the yoga mat on that day. One Mataji, Kodashamani. Kodashamani is a Prabhupada disciple. She lives in Los Angeles, and she's an accredited Iyengar yoga teacher. And she came to the yoga festival with Gitanjali Mataji. She was there. Because what they do in China is the yoga with the music. They do yoga dance. Or they have the yoga with the tea ceremony. They do asana with a cup of tea. Then they do asana with the music. Pretty much it means acrobat from the circus. Acrobats do better acro yoga than these guys. And then you have, recently, beer yoga. Isn't it? China, they have beer yoga and wine yoga. And they don't do it in a yoga center, they go to the brewery. You see photos, between the beer containers, they have the yoga mat. It's just become such a farce. We are working on a book that's going to explain exactly what is the yoga process from the yoga mat. Scholar has mentioned, there is no way for Patanjali to write the Yoga Sutra if he didn't believe in the presence of Lord Vishnu. As a matter of fact, Patanjali is an expansion of Anantashesh. You see the deity of Anantashesh when you see Patanjali Muni. System in Yama Niyama, Ahimsa. 90% of the people who do yoga in China, they all eat meat. No problem. I can do asana, I can have chicken, I can have prawns, I can have cleanliness, svadhyaya, self-study. What about Ishvara Pranidan, surrender everything to Vishnu? They got no idea. Absolutely no idea. But they fear the Balaram temple, and she had the Mahamantra. And every day we were doing japa, and then she bought a pair of katas, and she said, now I'm going to introduce Bhakti Yoga in my yoga center. So she sends me little video clips of all the yoga students. Seeds are being planted. Otherwise, everything is just, Gitanjali Mataji, she got on stage to chant the holy name. She had 10 minutes to chant for 10,000 people. Chanting the holy name. Everybody put their hands up in the air. huge crowd, and started chanting. Too ingrained, too deeply rooted in impersonalism. I mean, deeply, deeply rooted. And you have to know them very carefully personally. No faith in anything. And it's all on the externals. Looking spiritual, but there's nothing spiritual. So the holy name really does a lot of work. And that's Krishna again through the sound vibration. So, that's what, 25 years old, and he was the treasurer of the kingdom. Mahaprabhu, him and Rupa at the same time. And in their conversation, he was on his way to Vrindavan, and he stopped at Ramkeli. And at Ramkeli, there were devotees there. And they remember his name. He was also part of the government. And he said, don't worry, he's just a normal sadhu. Just don't pay attention. Actually, he was protecting Mahaprabhu. Yeah, don't worry. Now, when Rupa and Sanatan approached him, he gave them initiation, but they were so humble. How were they humble? They told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are actually so fallen that we don't deserve you. And then they explained why. Jaga and Madai, they come from which kind of family? Therefore they easily got your mercy. We're Muslims. Dabir Kash, Shakar Malik, we're Muslims. They had changed their names, and they were. And on that basis, Mahaprabhu became so merciful to them because of their attitude. I'm a great scholar. I've got so much influence. I've got power. I don't know who I am. I have no idea who I am. So Chaitanya, chapter 20 to chapter 25 of the Madhya Lila, all Sanatan Shiksha. How much time and energy Lord Chaitanya put into Sanatan Goswami. But Sanatan Goswami got very specific instruction. First, it was Lokanath Goswami and Bhugaba Goswami. They were the first one. They went to take care of the Vaishnavas. And whoever Mahaprabhu sent to Vrindavan, he said, you under the care of Sanatan Goswami. But what are you doing? And how is the business going? He was like the father of everybody. In the association of devotees, we get the taste for more chanting. We pay more attention to chanting. We pay more attention to our studies. On our own. So by the mercy of Sanatan Goswami, so many devotees got shelter. So many devotees became elevated to the purest platform of Krishna to stay with Haridas Thakur on the seashore in that hut. And he glorified Haridas Thakur. Position of devotees, I have no life. I'm running after you, chanting Krishna, Krishna, give me Krishna, give me Krishna. I don't have anything. No association with his God brothers. He took the association of his own disciples. And it's not like, problem. If we don't get along here, if we don't use our association to extract Krishna from the heart, then how are we going to deal up there? As a matter of fact, we won't go up there. There's no entrance. The purity has to take place here, and then gradually get the training until we get... Very interesting, because Haridas Thakur was isolated because he could not enter the Jagannath temple. He could not even walk past the temple. So Mahaprabhu gave him a hut in Mahaprasadam from Lord Jagannath. And Sanatan Goswami realized the position of Haridas Thakur. He said, some people preach, but they don't behave. Some people behave, but they don't preach. You behave and you preach. Mahaprabhu wanted to learn from him how to chant the holy name. Loud chanting. Just by loud chanting. Just look at them. They were transformed. Sadhu Sangha. And it's an interesting thing. Sometimes Mahaprabhu is just the teacher. He's the sannyasi, he's the guru. And then sometimes he's Krishna. So when he's traveling to South, they go into fit of ecstasy. Electricity just running down the road. then the whole village will someone, you give them Krishna. They become Vaishnavas. You say, no, but they're not joining. If people don't have time and they drive their car. I know so many people in China, they do it all the time. On the phone, every morning we get some. And then they become vegetarian. Then they keep chanting. Are they Vaishnavas or they're not Vaishnavas? Mahaprabhu told the devotees from Bengal, before they went back to Bengal, they told Mahaprabhu, say, how do you see a Vaishnava? Who is a Vaishnava? He said, anyone who chants Hare Krishna and makes you chant, that is, you give them Krishna, they become Vaishnavas. And not Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Gyanam Chayada Hetukam. Just a question of time. Knowledge, detachment, and
3 questions.
3.
Yes.
Can you summarize into 1?
Yes, I'll try. And are there more preaching? You mentioned Chinese people very impersonalist, and do they change because they...
Oh, yes. If you do things under the cultural programs, like we have the Matajis doing, the dancing, the Gopidat, and then it's okay. We have, the government has actually accommodation, food, everything for the whole troop, 50 people. You don't go, it's like you want to go to Krishna, go to the Guru first. So you work with agents, and then they do all the work for you. So she's almost every day. And with the Polish tour, the thing on stage, the drama, chants Hare Krishna for 10,000 people. I met the ambassador, so I had a container with hot samosas. I gave him the samosas. We do low-key culture. He says, don't ever try to go to the top. And yeah, so many people are changing people, so you would imagine we should have 5 million devotees by now. Initiation, that's joining in China. When you take initiation, you've joined Krishna consciousness. Gitas are sold. Every program. That day, they all went with piles of books. Amazing. A lot of people in this temple room. And every year, they just arrived last week, they go from one town to another. Bhaktivedanta, I think they live in Dubai. They come from Dubai. So gradually, people are being cultivated. What do you do with it? What are you going to do with it? It's only when Arjuna surrendered that the 30. Otherwise, you just mess it up. You have to be mature to take care of other people's lives. I'm not giving you my money, I'm giving you my heart. If you take my heart, I have nothing left. You follow? One managed to make the heart grow and pump again, and now I can open, now the heart can fly. I'm yours. Give the heart to Krishna, then you become devotee, not before that. Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna, before breakfast I would like to ask some of the gift shop, and I'll need some hands to carry them upstairs. So after breakfast, can we meet?